session, we will study God's guiding commandments. These commandments focus on a right relationship with God, with others, and a deep reverence for the Sabbath. God started to make God's claim through Moses as he stood before Pharaoh. But that whisper has grown into a tangible roar. This God is one for the ages, unlike any other the world has ever known. The plagues, staff into a snake, manna and bread from heaven, burning bush that is not consumed, rivers parted into two, that's nothing. It's only the beginning of a great plan, a plan for salvation for all humankind. And so, no other gods? You shall have no other gods? Al-Panai, which means before me, beside me, besides me, over against me. I wonder if these first two commandments are far less about the restrictions that God places on the Israelites and far more about their freedom to worship and ability to be in a right relationship with the living God. Throughout their nomadic existence, they worshiped the visible yet invisible God. They had to learn how to love, support, and follow their newly named God. So here is the covenant that they were given to express their faith and their relationship with God who claims them. This is how they can seek to live their lives in the right way. Righteous living is how they can express their love for God. The Israelite story is our story, our calling, our gift as well. For the Israelites, Exodus and Sinai will be forever linked. Liberation preceded the law. God set them free from the tyranny of Pharaoh and gave them every opportunity to experience freedom through the law. This was not an exchange of shackles for precepts. This was freedom from slavery in order to truly experience freedom to worship the living God. I wonder if the commandment to keep the Sabbath is one way that we are instructed to practice saying no. Okay. Contemporary theologian Terence Fretheim said, Sabbath keeping is an act of creation keeping. To keep the Sabbath is to participate in God's intention for the rhythm of creation. Not keeping the Sabbath is a violation of the created order. It returns one aspect of that order to chaos. Throughout all of Scripture, it is very clear that we are to keep the Sabbath. Have you ever noticed that we have a great list of why we should keep the Sabbath? We have the perfect model in Genesis for resting on the seventh day. Throughout Scripture, we have numerous examples of our need to rest and to provide rest and balance for others. We are explicitly told what not to do, but there isn't a clear list of what we should do on Sabbath. Barbara Brown Taylor wrote, on one side of the paper, list all of the things you know give you life that you never take time to do. Then, on the other side, make a list of all the reasons why you think it is impossible for you to do those things. That is all there is to it. Just make two lists and keep the piece of paper where you can see it. Also, promise not to shush your heart when it howls for the list it wants. To paraphrase a point she makes in her book, An Altar in the World, practicing Sabbath is a way of reminding ourselves that we are worth more than what we can produce. She said, even if you spent one whole day being good for nothing, you would still be precious in God's sight. As you explore these rich texts, my prayer is that you seek to understand what was happening in the context of these scripture passages and how they relate to our lives today. In this session, I hope that you gain a better understanding of the nature of God, God's relationship with creation, and the joyful responsibility we have as followers of Jesus.